guys. Well, welcome to Life Group. I'm just sitting outside. I got a little fire going. Fall is here. But I say I did this because I want you to think about the story. As you read the story, I want you to put yourself into that position. Put yourself in that spot. So God says, hey, I want you to come up. And I want you to do a sacrifice. Pay attention to the sacrifices. They mean something. Burnt offerings, you'll read that burnt offerings, they would burn everything. It would be gone. But the peace offering, they would only burn portions of the peace offering. Everything else was for the individuals that gave the peace offering. So keep that in mind. And it was an act of thanksgiving. It was an act of worship or a pay a vow. Well, we know at this point they're worshiping. They're so excited for what God has done. And so as you read this story, think about the aspect of going into God's presence. What does that take? And those of you that were around for the Tabernacle series, I hope you're paying attention to the smoke that's going up, right? Everything matters when you start reading in the Word. You start to see things and begin to understand that there is importance in those words. And it's so interesting to me that one of the coolest stories in the Old Testament has a sentence by it that just says, and God didn't lay his hand on him, he didn't kill him. They saw God and ate and drank with him, or ate and drank, that's what it says. So dive into that today. Dive into this understanding of what does it take to be intimate with God. That's what we talked about on Sunday, that God wants an intimate setting. You know, maybe it's not a dinner table. Maybe it's around a fire pit roasting marshmallows. One of the most intimate times you can think of. Put your cell phones down and just spend time. Enjoy God's creation. Enjoy some beautiful marshmallows and get intimate with one another. Well, that's what God desires. And that's what I hope that you do today as you think about Life Group, as you think about this story and what we talked about on Sunday. So God wants intimacy, and when he brings intimacy, he brings provision. We looked at a God that provides while we're in the midst of our enemies. It's not just a little bit, but it's a huge feast that he wants to provide for us. And then he restores through that relationship, through those moments. So talk about that. Discuss what does it look like? How can you become more intimate with God? How can you draw closer to God? How can you go sit at God's table and eat with him?